Hey, what's going on, family? This is Andy Henriquez here. And of course, I want to welcome you to the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream. This is where you come each and every week to get that little midweek pick me up. And so, listen, I got a message for you tonight, and I want to talk to you about appreciation. But listen, I'm not talking about real estate. I'm not talking about future value here. No, I'm talking about the appreciation of what's already in your hand. I'm talking about the appreciation of your gifts, your skills, your talents, your relationships, the blessings that you already have. Because there's something that I heard. Listen, I heard Lynne Twist, who's an author. I heard her say this, and this was so profound. And I decided I'm going to go ahead and make a message. And what she said is, what you appreciate appreciates. I'm going to say that one more time. What you appreciate actually appreciates. And so what we tend to spend our time on, focusing on the things that we're grateful for, the things that we actually invest in, have the ability to continue to grow. And likewise, those things that are most important to us, that we do not spend the time investing in, and we don't take the time to do things that we need to do, guess what happens over time? Those things begin to literally expire. They disappear. They go down in value. So I got a message for you tonight. And so specifically, if you're a person that you know you got gifts, you know you got skills, you got talents, but you've been neglecting those gifts, those skills, and those talents. You haven't been putting in the time and the effort that you know that you need to, so that you can develop those skills, so that you can develop those gifts, and so that you can grow them and help them be able to allow you to make a lot of impact. And so if you've ever been there before, where you had a relationship, you had a specific skill, you had something that you know that you've been neglecting, you haven't been putting the time, the effort, and the energy like you should, this message is for you. So before I get started, go ahead and do me a little quick favor. As you're jumping on right now, do me a quick favor. Go ahead and put in your name and also where you're tuned in from, so I could go ahead and give you a little quick shout out. So I could give you a little quick shout out wherever you're tuned in from. So go ahead in the comment section right now. Go ahead and put in your, let me know what city and what state you're tuned in from, so I could go ahead and give you a little quick shout out before we get started with tonight's message. And once again, I want to thank all of you who are tuning in and joining us. And here's what I want to remind you. Tonight's message is all about appreciation. Now, listen, I'm not talking about appreciation like when we're talking about real estate. I'm not talking about future value and so forth. I'm talking about you appreciating what's already in your possession. You appreciating what you already have. I'm talking about you appreciating your gifts, your skills, your talents, your relationships that you already have, the blessings that you already have. And the reason why I say that is because here's one of the things. If you take what you already have in your possession for granted, if you don't learn how to appreciate it, if you don't invest in it, then over time, unfortunately, here's what happens. Those things that you already have, those great relationships, those skills, those talents, those blessings that you're getting on a daily basis, if you don't take the time to appreciate them, guess what happens over time? They, instead of expanding, they literally begin to expire. And so I remember watching Oprah Winfrey interview a lady by the name of Lynne Twist. Lynne Twist, an author. And during the interview, she said something. Lynne Twist, the author, said something that really stuck with me. And she said something, I thought it was really, really profound. And here's what she said. She says, what you appreciate appreciates. Now, I know it's a little play on words, but I want you to follow me on this. She said, what you appreciate appreciates. And so if you think about this, so many of us, we have some valuable possessions. And I'm speaking to those of you specifically that you know that you have gifts, you have skills, you have talents. And if you are really, really honest with yourself, maybe perhaps you know that you haven't had a full appreciation of those gifts and those skills and those talents. And this is what I mean by a full appreciation. You see, when you appreciate something, like a gift, a skill, and a talent, when you appreciate it, you actually invest in it. You spend time with it. You develop it. You pour into it. You spend money and time around that thing that you actually appreciate. And so something amazing happens when you take the time to appreciate your gifts, your skills, and your talents. When you take the time to appreciate the most important relationships around you, when you take the time to appreciate the blessings that you're getting on a daily basis, what happens over time is that they continue to expand. But let me tell you something. The very opposite happens when you don't take the time to appreciate those things, when you don't invest in them, and you don't do those things that you know that you need to do to develop those things and help them to grow. Over time, they literally begin to disintegrate. Over time, they literally begin to expire. And so I'm talking to those of you who literally, you know that you've got a gift, you've got a skill, you got a talent, you got some great relationships, and you know, maybe perhaps you know that you haven't done the best job at cultivating those gifts, cultivating those relationships, and cultivating those blessings so that they continue to grow and continue to magnify. If you have any of those things, and you know perhaps you've been caught up in the hustle and bustle of things, making things happen, and you've taken some of those things that you have for granted, your own gifts, your own skills, some of your relationships and so forth, this message is for you. So let me give a quick little shout out real quick. We got Rebecca tuned in from the NYC. I see you. Albert's tuned in from Houston, Texas. I'll see you. We got Sabrina in the house from Brooklyn, New York. I see you, Sabrina. Thank you so much for joining me. And for the rest of you, as you're jumping in right now, do me a little quick favor. Go ahead and give a little quick shout out for your city and your state. Let me know where you're tuned in from. And once again, tonight's message is all about learning to appreciate what's already in your hand. Listen, there's nothing wrong with having a desire to try to acquire things and try to accomplish things and try to make great things happen. But let me tell you something right now. You got to learn to appreciate what you already have. And so here's one of the things that I know. Some of us, we're in the process, we're trying to make some things happen, but we take for granted what's already in our hand, like those gifts, those skills that you have that maybe perhaps you should invest in, that you should sharpen, that you should continue to work on so that they can continue to expand. And so you're able to make an impact with them. I'm talking about those things, those relationships that you have, those people that you have failed to pick up the phone to put in a phone call to, those people that you've been wanting to spend some time with that you haven't spent some time with lately. I'm talking about those relationships, those daily blessings that you have, just like the things on a daily basis that you should be proud of and grateful for and happy for. I'm talking about learning to appreciate those things that you already have. And when you learn to appreciate those things, something amazing begins to happen. Those things begin to expand. And that's what Lynne Twist meant when she said that what you appreciate actually appreciates. What you appreciate actually appreciates. And so we're going to dive in with tonight's message. But do me a quick favor, for those of you who are jumping in right now, do me a quick favor. Go ahead and hit the share button, because I can guarantee you what I'm going to share tonight, that there's somebody that you're connected to. There's somebody that you know that needs to hear this message, that they've got something, they've got a gift, they got some relationships, they got some blessings that they've been sleeping on, they haven't been investing in them, they haven't really fully appreciated it. And because of that, those things are beginning to decrease. Those things are eventually going to expire. And so hopefully they're going to hear something. Hopefully you're going to hear something that's going to make you take a second look at the things that you have in your possession right now. I'm talking about those gifts. I'm talking about those skills. I'm talking about those relationships. I'm talking about those daily blessings that may perhaps you take it for granted. I want you to simply shift your perspective and start investing the time, the effort, and the energy in those things. Why? You're trying to figure out, because here's what I know. When you invest the time in those things, when you invest in those things, amazing things begin to happen, and they literally began to expand. And so here's what I want you to realize. When you fail to work with what you already have, like your gifts, your skills, and the things that are already in your possession, when you fail to invest in the relationships that you already have, when you fail to literally appreciate the blessings that you already have, only one of two things will actually happen. And so when we neglect those things, those things that we already have, they begin to expire. In other words, they begin to decrease. We begin to lose them. We lose the edge. We lose those relationships. We lose those blessings. But what happens is when we can appreciate them, when we invest in them, when we take the time to invest in them, amazing things begin to happen, and they literally begin to expand. And so really the decision is yours. When you think about the things that you already have in your possession right now, when you think about your gifts, your skills, your talents, when you people having relationships to you that may perhaps you've been caught up in the daily grind, the hustle and bustle, and you haven't been able to invest the time that you want in those relationships, only one or two things will happen. Either you're going to appreciate those things, you're going to invest in those things, you're going to spend the time to do the things that you need to do, and so therefore those things are going to expand, or you're going to take them for granted, you're going to put them on the back burner, you don't do those things that you need to do, and ultimately over time those things begin to expire. And so what I'm hoping is that I'm going to encourage you to just simply take a different look at what's already in your hand, what you already possess, what you already have. Listen carefully. I want you to start changing and shifting your perspective about what it is that you already have in your possession. Why? Because listen carefully, what you appreciate actually appreciates. And so I want to share a couple things with you. And before I do that, do me a little quick favor, because I need you to get this. And so hopefully you're going to learn to start appreciating the things that you already have. And so if you already know, you got some good gifts and skills and talents, you know that you do. You may have to work on them. You may need to develop them. You may need to spend a little more time working on that creativity that you have, that voice that you have, the ability to encourage others that you have, though all the business acumen that you have, those gifts and skills that you know that you have. Maybe you've been putting on the back burner. I'm hoping that you're going to change your perspective and you're going to learn to start appreciating those things. And when you appreciate something, what it means is that you see the value in it. When you appreciate something, what it means is that you see the value that you're willing to invest in it, and you're willing to actually spend the time to actually build it and grow upon it. And so understand this, whatever it is that you appreciate, it will appreciate. In other words, it would expand. And whatever it is that you have in your possession, that you neglect, that you fail to spend the time on, understand this, that over time, it will expire. So only one or two things are going to happen. It's either going to expand or it is going to expire. And so if you have made a declaration within yourself, listen, if you're willing to make the commitment that with your gifts, your skills, and your talents, those awesome relationships that you have, right? And also those blessings that you get on a daily basis, if you're willing to make the commitment to begin to appreciate them, I want you to do me a favor right now in the comment section. Just put hashtag appreciate, hashtag appreciate. That's just your way of letting me know that we're on the same vibe here, that you are aware of the fact that you have some great things in your possession. You know you got gifts, you know you got skills, you know you got talents, you know you've got some relationships that are worth investing in. You know that you have some blessings that you are receiving on a daily basis. And you know that your life would expand if you learned how to invest in those things, and your life would expand if those things would literally appreciate. So do me a favor right now in the comment section, just go ahead and put appreciate. And that's just your way of letting me know that you're aware of this fact that you have some great things in your possession and you're willing to actually appreciate those things. In other words, you're willing to invest in them. And now, see, the amazing thing happens is when you begin to invest in your gifts and your skills and your talents, when you begin to invest in those relationships, what happens is over time, they become more valuable. And so I just think about just earlier in this week, literally earlier in the week, I was having a phone call with somebody, and he's a videographer. And so I was talking about an upcoming event that I have coming up, and I was asking him if there's any way that he could cover the event. And so when we were done with our conversation, he literally quoted me. He said, Andy, listen, man, he said, in order for me to do this job, in order for me to cover this event that you have coming up, your Master Storyteller Academy, he said, it's going to cost this much money. And literally when he said that, I was blown away. And the reason why I was blown away, because what he quoted me was 3 times the amount of what I was paying the previous person who has recorded and covered many of my events. And so listen, you could believe me, I was a little bit shocked by what he quoted me on the price. I'm like, you serious? I said, literally, this is 3 times what I'm already paying. But let me tell you something. I started to think about it for a moment. And even though it was 3 times what I was accustomed to paying, I've been watching this gentleman who has been working on his gift. I've been watching this guy that has had a level of appreciation on his gift. He's appreciated his creativity. He's been working on his gift as a videographer. He's been picking up clients. He's been working on his craft. And over time, I've been watching his video footage get better and better and better and better. And it's been mostly because of the fact that he, number one, he recognized the fact that he had a gift. He's been appreciating the fact that he had a gift. The reason why he's been appreciating is because he's been investing in that gift. And see, because you can't say you appreciate something if you don't take the time to actually invest in it. It's hard for you to say you appreciate a relationship that you're not actually investing in that relationship. You're not spending time. It's hard for you to say that you appreciate a gift or a skill or a talent that you have if you're not actually taking the time to invest in that gift, invest in that talent, and invest in that skill. And so that's what Lynne Twist meant when she said that what you appreciate actually appreciates. And so let's just be very clear. You don't appreciate something if you're not taking the time to actually invest in it. All right, let's just set that straight. If you can't say, I appreciate this relationship, and you're spending no time working on the relationship, You can't say that I appreciate this gift, this skill that's been given to me, this talent that I have. You can't say that you appreciate this talent, this creativity that you have, your business skills, this amazing voice that you have, the ability that you have to encourage people. You can't say that you appreciate that gift if you haven't been taking the time to actually invest in that gift. So here's one of the things that I need you to understand is that in order for you to validate the fact that you appreciate something, you actually got to invest in it. You got to actually spend time in it. You got to actually put forth the effort and do the things that are required to help it to grow and to help it to actually cultivate. And not only do you need to invest in it, but then you've got to take it one step further. And the thing that you actually appreciate, you got to actually learn to share it. And so what I'm saying is this: if you have an appreciation for your gift and your skills and your talents, then what you've got to learn to do is you've got to actually share those gifts and those skills and those talents. And through the process of actually sharing it, what happens is over time, it begins to expand. And so listen, make no mistake about it. The people that you see who are tapping into their gift and their skill, and when you look at them, you look at amazement and you say, wow, they're such a great singer. Wow, they're such a great businessman or a great businesswoman. Wow, they're such a great communicator. Wow, they're such a great speaker. Understand this: they have first recognized the fact that they have this gift. They've had a level of appreciation for the gift. And with that appreciation, they've invested in that gift. And not only have they invested in that gift, but they've taken the time to actually share it. And through the process of sharing it, it's actually expanded. I need you to get that. And so the more you appreciate something, the more you invest in it, the more that you share it, the more that it actually grows. And so the reason why I share that with you is because I want you to get this. You probably have an amazing gift, an amazing skill, and amazing talent. And what I'm saying to you is that in order for that gift and that skill and that talent to grow, in order for you to have the level of impact that you need to have with that gift, that skill, and that talent, you need to make sure that you actually have a level of appreciation for it and that you invest in it, because it's that investment that's going to help it to grow. I'm taking you back. Listen, when I was having that conversation with the videographer, and he literally quoted me 3 times what I was accustomed to actually paying. The reason why I actually agreed to paying that was the fact that, number one, I recognized the fact that he recognized and appreciate the gift that he has. Listen, no one is going to place value on your gift if you don't first place value on it yourself. Listen carefully. No one is going to have any level of appreciation of what you bring to the table if you don't first have a level of appreciation for what you bring to the table yourself. And so that's the first thing. You've got to learn to have a level of appreciation for what you bring to the table yourself. That's the first thing off the bat. Now, if you generally have a level of appreciation for what you bring to the table, your gift, your skill, your talents, then what it also means is that you've got to take the time to actually invest in it. Because when you say you appreciate something, you actually need to invest in it. You spend the time, the effort, the energy to help it to grow, right? When you say you appreciate and you respect a particular relationship, you got to spend time in that relationship. When you say you appreciate a particular gift, you got to spend time cultivating and working on that gift. When you say you appreciate an actual blessing, then you take the time to recognize the blessing, right? And so over time, it actually grows. So here's what I want you to get. Here's what I want you to understand. That you've got to make sure that whatever it is that you have in your possession, that you actually appreciate it, because what you appreciate grows. So when I was sitting there and I'm thinking about this, I'm saying to myself, man, I can't believe that I'm about to agree to pay this videographer 3 times what I normally pay. But the reason why I was willing to pay it was because, number one, he's had a big appreciation. I've appreciated his gift, but he has a level of his own appreciation for his gift. And with that appreciation of his gift, he's invested in his gift. And over time, because he's appreciated what is already in his possession, over time, I have watched his gift grow. Over time, I have watched his gift expand. And that's what I need you to get. Every appreciates. That's what Lynne Twist said. Listen, the things that you take the time to appreciate means you follow that up by investing in it. You follow it up by spending time in it. The things that you take the time to appreciate actually appreciates right before your eyes. And so I think about this. I look back in my own personal career. And so, as many of you know, I used to be an accountant. I used to be a CPA, and I left my firm back in 2004, and I started this journey of trying to figure out what my passion was, what my purpose was, and I started developing my communication skills, and I started working on my gift of being able to share and tell stories and so forth, and be able to grow a speaking business, a speaking and coaching business. But I tell you this, I think back, and I think back when I first started, and I started coaching people. And one of the things was just because I didn't have a full appreciation of what I brought to the table, that when I was coaching people, I was charging people $100 an hour to coach them. And part of it is because I came from a linear mindset, right? That, you trade time for money. And so I was accustomed, you work a job and you work this many hours and they pay you this much money per hour. So when I first started off, getting paid $100 an hour sounded really, really exciting. I mean, that was a pretty cool, amazing thing, right? But what happened is, as I began to appreciate what I was bringing to the table, listen carefully, as I began to appreciate what my gifts and my skills were, and with the appreciation of what I brought to the table, I started to invest in my gifts and my skills. I started getting coaching. I started getting mentorship. I started going to workshops and seminars, started picking up a whole bunch of books. And I was spending so much money validating the fact that I had an appreciation for the gift that I believe that I already possessed that was in me. Listen carefully, because there's a lot of us that say that we appreciate something. We say we appreciate a relationship, but we don't spend no time and energy investing in a relationship. We say we appreciate our God-given gifts and skills and talents, but we don't validate what we say we appreciate by spending time on working on it and actually cultivating it. Listen carefully. Once I began to appreciate what my gifts were, what my skills were, and I began to validate the fact that I appreciated them by investing in them, by working on them, by cultivating them, over time, my gift, my skills began to appreciate. In other words, they began to grow in value. And so I started off with this rate of $100 an hour. And so if somebody wanted to basically get a full day and work with me for a full day, 7 hours, put in 7 hours worth of work, it would have cost about $700. But because of the fact that I learned to appreciate what I was bringing to the table, not just because I said, hey, I believe I'm worth more. No, but I recognized what the gift was. I began to invest in the gift, spending quality time working on the gift, spending money, resources working on the gift, to grow the gift, to cultivate the gift. Because of the fact that I appreciate it, I validated by putting the time and the effort. Over time, it began to appreciate, it began to grow. And so now those 7 hours that before, that somebody would be able to have 7 hours of my time, it would probably only cost them $700, that today, that time would cost them $10,000 or more. Now, I share that with you to just get you to understand this. What's the difference? What allowed that time to go from being valued, those 7 hours to go from being valued of $700 to being valued in $10,000 or more? What created the shift? I'm gonna tell you what created the shift. What created the shift was that I learned to appreciate the gift that I had, and then I began to validate what I appreciated by spending time, effort, and energy in that gift. And by cultivating and working on it, it began to appreciate over time. That's what I need you to get. That's what Lynne Twist was trying to get us to understand, is that what you appreciate appreciates. Listen, those relationships that you spend time on, those relationships that you invest in, right? Those friendships, those family relationships that you invest in, the more time that you spend in them, the more that you invest in them, guess what happens over time? They expand, they grow, right? And so the more that you work on a gift, a skill, and a talent, the more that you learn to appreciate it, the more that it grows. And so what I need you to understand is this, listen carefully. What's in your hand, it will either do one of two things. It will expand or it will expire. Listen carefully. What you already have in your hand, meaning your gifts, your skills, and your talents, what you already have in your hand, meaning those meaningful relationships with friends and family members, what you already have in your hand, those daily blessings, depending on how you treat them, Depending on what you do with them, they will either expand or they will expire. And so what I'm hoping is that you're willing to appreciate those things, spend time in those things, and work on those things so that ultimately they will expand. Do me a favor right now. If you are looking to have your gifts and your skills and the things that you bring on a daily basis, if you want those things to expand, put hashtag expand. If you want those relationships that you have, those meaningful relationships with friends and family members that you have, if you want those things to grow, if you want those things to expand, I want you to put hashtag expand. If you know that those daily blessings, I don't care how small they are, just the blessing of being able to wake up every day, just the simple blessing of being able to have a car to drive around with, just the blessing of having a roof over your head. If you want those things to expand, do me a favor right now, just put hashtag expand, because I just need you to get this little simple concept, because what Lynne Twist said, it just made total sense. And it's a play on words, but it's one of those things that if you take the time and you really think about it, you'll realize this, and it's just going to help you to grow so much. Listen carefully, and if you could just jot this down and have it penetrate in your mind, and stop just taking for what you already have in your hand for granted, and understanding this, that what you appreciate appreciates, and when you begin to spend time working on and cultivating what's already in your hand, those gifts, those skills, those talents. Listen, that creativity that you have, you need to invest in it, right? The ability that you have to be able to inspire people and connect with people and so forth, you need to invest in it. Listen, that those business ideas that you have and the way that you're real good with thinking of with ideas and business concepts, you need to invest in it. Those relationships that you have, those important relationships with your husband, your wife, your friends, your family, those things that you appreciate, you need to invest in those things. What you appreciate appreciates. It grows in value. But understand this, it can't just be lip service. You can't just say, oh, I appreciate this relationship. Oh, I appreciate the fact that I do have a little creativity. I appreciate the fact that I'm pretty good at encouraging and motivating people. No. Lip service is not going to cut it. No, you've got to invest in it. You've got to spend the time. You got to spend the effort. You got to spend the energy, because what you appreciate, trust me on this, it will appreciate, it will grow, and it will expand. And so if you could get that to just go through your mind, if you get that to expand in your mind, if you can get that to settle in your mind, then that's when you begin to get into expansion. That's when things begin to grow. I'm gonna tell you right now, one of the people that I've learned this from so much is my wife. Listen, every single time that we're gonna do something, my wife, I believe a lot of times I'm always thinking that she's going overboard with who she's trying to invite. And so sometimes, I just want it to be her and I, and we're just going to do something real simple. And then what happens is she gets these ideas and she's like, oh, we should invite this person, and we should invite this person, and we should invite this person. And what happens is a lot of times I give her a little pushback. I'm like, hey, why do we have to invite all these people? Why do all these people have to be part of this? But see, my wife understands something that's very important. That on a daily basis, we're so busy doing so many things, right? And what she realizes that there's a lot of meaningful relationships that we have, that and people that we really want to make sure that we continue to grow and cultivate those relationships, that we are so busy that a lot of times we don't have the time to spend with those people. So my wife is aware of that. And so what she does is she tries to think of what are things that we're going to do anyway, that we can invite the people that we value, the relationships that we have with them, and allow them to be a part of it. And here's something that we're going to do anyway, but now we can do it with people that we value their relationships. And what we're doing in the process is we're investing in those relationships. And when we invest in those relationships, guess what happens? Those relationships continue to grow. Just think about this. How many times have you had a relationship that you value, a business relationship, a personal relationship, a relationship that you've had with somebody that you valued, but because of the fact that you've been so busy, things were going on, and so what's happening is that relationship has fallen to the wayside. And because of the fact that you haven't had the time to invest in a relationship, you've lost touch, you've lost connection with that person. And for some reason, you just don't feel as tight as you used to be. It's the way. I'm gonna tell you exactly what's happening. Because of the fact that you haven't been able, doesn't mean that you don't appreciate that relationship, right? For lack of a better word, we've been playing with that term, but you haven't been able to display your appreciation. you haven't been able to invest in it. And so when you fail to invest in it, remember what I tell you, when you invest in something, the things that you already have in your hand, only one or two things are going to happen. Either it's going to expand or it's going to expire, right? And so what you've got to learn to do is find a way to appreciate those things. So I finally got it. I get it now. I don't give my wife a hard time anymore when she's trying to incorporate those important relationships and those people that we know and the things that we're doing, because I understand, she understands the concept that what you appreciate actually appreciates. It actually begins to grow. And so when you begin to operate from that place, what you begin to do now is you put yourself in a position where the things that you already have, the gifts, the skills, and the talents, the relationships, the blessings that you already have, you put yourself in a situation where now, because of the fact that you've appreciated them, you're investing in them, they begin to grow, they begin to cultivate, they begin to go to the next level. Listen, if you're getting any kind of value from what I'm sharing right now, do me a little quick favor. Go ahead and hit the share button, because I just know that there's somebody that you're connected to that will be able to get some value from what I'm sharing right now. Now, I want to leave you with some thoughts. I want you to think about this for a moment. And here are the questions that I have for you. Number one, I want you to think about what is it that you currently have, right? What do you currently have in your possession that you have neglected or you have failed to appreciate? What do you currently have in your possession that you have neglected or that you failed to appreciate? I want you to be honest. Are there some key relationships? Is there like a longtime friend, a family member that, generally you know that this is somebody that's had your back, you know that this is a champion for you, you know that this is a person that has allowed you to connect, has opened up doors for you, helped you make connections. This is a person who believes in you. This is a person that has your back. This is a person that doesn't judge you. This is a relationship that you genuinely appreciate, but you know in your heart that you've neglected this relationship. You haven't necessarily done the things that you need to do. Or I want you to think about a particular gift that you have, a particular skill that you have. Maybe people have been telling you, man, you're a good encourager. Maybe they've been telling you, you've got a wonderful voice. Maybe they've been telling you, you're so creative. Maybe they tell you you're a great photographer. You got a great eye. Maybe they tell you you've got great leadership skills. What's a gift that you have that you know that you've neglected? In other words, you haven't quite invested in that gift. You haven't spent the time that you needed to spend in that gift. I want you to think about what is something that you have in your possession right now that you've been taking for granted, that you haven't quite invested in. Think about what that thing is. Is it a relationship? Is it a particular gift and a skill and a talent that you have? Now, here's my next question for you. The fact that you haven't invested in this thing, whatever it might be, a relationship, right, with a spouse or a friend or a family member, the fact that you haven't invested and the fact that you haven't had a true level of appreciation for this gift and this talent. So you've been sitting on this gift. You keep talking about how you're going to use this gift, and you're thinking about starting the business by leveraging the gift. You're thinking about becoming a speaker. You're thinking about writing a book. You've been thinking about starting a new venture. All these things you've been sort of thinking about, right, that are connected to a gift that you have that you've been sort of taking for granted. You haven't been working on it. You haven't been getting coaching. You haven't been You haven't been spending any time working on the gift, making things happen. What is it costing you? Like, what is it actually costing? What is it costing you? The fact, what relationship is it possibly costing you because you've been taking that relationship for granted? You have been investing in it, right? What is this? What is the fact that you have been working on this gift, this skill, and this time? What is it costing you? Like, what would happen if you actually took the time to work on this gift? If you actually took the time to invest in this relationship, like, what would you gain? And the fact that you haven't been doing it, what is it costing you? Like, and what is it costing you internally? Like, you know it, how it beats you up on the inside. When you know that there's a relationship that you've been taking for granted, that you haven't been doing, it eats you up on the inside. When you know that you have something in you that you should be working on and you should be cultivating, and you haven't been spending the time to do it, it eats you up on the inside. So the question is, what is it costing you? And then the final question I have for you is this: what can you do differently to show your appreciation? What can you do differently to show your appreciation for this amazing person, this amazing relationship that you've been taking for granted? right? Your husband, your wife, your friend, your family member, your business partner, the people at work, whoever it might be. What can you do differently to show them that you appreciate this relationship? Now, here's the other thing. What can you do differently to prove to yourself that you have a genuine appreciation for the gifts and the skills and the talents that you already possess? Listen, don't just tell me, well, I'm grateful and so forth. No, no, no. What works can you put in to validate and show that you appreciate this thing? How have you invested your time, your energy, and your resources to validate that you appreciate this thing? And you're saying, well, Andy, why is this so important? The reason why it's so important is because it is. What you appreciate appreciates. That's what Lynne Twist, she's an author. She was having an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and she said this profound statement. And what she said is that what you appreciate appreciates. And so I want you to think about, what are the things in your life that you want to grow? What are the things in your life that you want to expand? What are the things in your life that's already in your possession that you've been taking for granted, that you haven't fully appreciated, that you haven't invested in, you haven't spent the time in? And I want to challenge you to just change your perspective, to just do something different and generally validate the fact that you appreciate these things by investing your time, your resources in those things, and watch what begins to happen. Watch how those things begin to expand. Watch how they begin to grow. Listen, what you focus on, what you work on, what you invest in, those things continue to grow. And so I want to remind you one more time, very carefully, one more time, I want to remind you that what you appreciate appreciates. So I want you to just look at your life, think about, what do you have right now in your possession that you've been taking for granted? And I want to challenge you to get a different level of appreciation for it. And if you can do those things, I can assure you life is going to grow in so many ways for you. Listen, if you got some value from this, do me a little quick favor, hit the share button, because I know there's probably somebody you're connected to that is going to be able to be blessed by this message. And so before I tune out, I want to share something with you. Not this weekend, but next weekend is going to be my Master Storyteller Academy. Hey, if you right now, you're already out there, you're making some great things happen. Speaker, you're a coach, you're a business owner, you're already having success, but you're at the place now where you're wanting to up your game. And you're understanding that part of you upping your game is being able to strengthen your message and being able to have a message that's going to allow you to attract the kind of customers and the clients that you want. Being able to have a kind of message that's going to help you to increase your conversion rate. Having a kind of message that's going to allow you to really be able to just sort of streamline and ramp up your business and ramp up your speaking, ramp up your coaching, and really help you to just sort of grow and scale your business. If that's you, then I want to invite you to join me for my next Master Storyteller Academy. Listen, real carefully, here's what you got to do. All you got to do is head on over to masterstorytelleracademy.com. Once again, that is masterstorytelleracademy.com. When you get there, just fill out the quick application. Somebody on my team will give you a phone call and give you all the information that you need to know so that you can make a decision as to whether or not you're going to join us for the next Master Storyteller Academy. This is a transformational training. It's a 3-day training that is designed to do 3 things, really just to help you to, number one, discover what some of the key stories that you could use in your business to help you to grow and scale your business, help you to develop those stories, and help you to be able to deliver those stories in a way that's really going to help you to attract your ideal customer and your clients, to be able to help you to leverage your time by positioning you and getting you the confidence so that you can get in front of the room, get in front of your ideal customers and your clients, instead of just having a bunch of one-to-one conversations, put you in a position so that you can have some one-to-many conversations, help you when you're offering your products and your services to do a better job of doing so by incorporating stories so that you can increase your conversion rate. If you are looking to do some of those things, then you want to join me at the next Master Storyteller Academy. So listen, all you got to do is head on over to Master Storyteller Academy, Academy.com. And so, like always, listen, I want to thank you. I appreciate you so much for tuning in and joining me on the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life Motivational live stream. And let me remind you of this one more time. Remember what Lynne Twist said: What you appreciate appreciates. Take the time to appreciate the things that you already have in your possession, your gifts, your skills, and your talents, those remaining relationships, those daily blessings. If you genuinely appreciate them, if you spend the time investing in them, working on them, trust me on this, over time, they will expand. And so once again, I thank you so much for joining me. As you sign off, do me a little favor real quick. Just put hashtag appreciate, hashtag appreciate. That's just your way of letting me know that you're going to learn to appreciate your gifts, your skills, your talents, and the things that you already have. And if you haven't already done so, do me a favor, share this message. But I thank you so much. Let me give a quick shout out to a couple people. I want to give a quick shout out to Darren Smith. I see you, my man. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Sabrina. Want to give a shout out to Sabrina, to Carmen, to Siraj, to Roz, to Janelle. I want to give a shout out to some of you, but I thank you so much for tuning in. Absolutely. You are more than welcome. Carmen, I see you. You're more than welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Yes, Janelle, I see you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hey, Carmen, Janelle, looking forward to seeing both of you at the Master Storyteller Academy. Yes, yes, yes. That's right around the block. Looking forward to seeing you at the Master Storyteller Academy. So Carmen Gonzalez is coming out to the Master Storyteller Academy. Janelle Montgomery is coming out to the Master Storyteller Academy. Looking forward to you joining me. Hey, Sabrina, how you doing? You're more than welcome. Thank you so much, Sabrina. I appreciate you as well. Blessings to you. And of course, I want to thank all of you for tuning in and just joining me. And like always, if you haven't already done so, hit the share button. If you know somebody you believe could benefit from this message. And I will see all of you very soon on next week's message. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. God bless.